If you ever uploaded your resume, hit submit, and then just got crickets, this video is for you. You're probably sitting there thinking that maybe your experience isn't strong enough, or maybe the market is just terrible. And maybe you're even thinking there might just be a whole lot of better qualified candidates that are pushing you out. Usually, in my experience, from what I've seen, it's none of those things. What is most commonly happening is that your resume is describing what you do, very task focused, and it is really failing to communicate what changes because you're there, the value you bring, the impact that you have. There is a difference, it is a big one, and I'm going to talk you through that today. My name is Trinity James. If we haven't met before, I'm a career coach and I specialize in helping executive assistants help make transitions in their careers. And I've reviewed hundreds of resumes over the past decade working in my business. The same problem shows up over and over again, even in really experienced, capable EAs. So, in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what's going wrong and, more importantly, how we can fix it. There's three things that I'm going to be covering today. The first one is what recruiters are actually looking for in those critical first 10 seconds, because it's probably not what you think. The second is a structure that I use with my own clients that really gets results. I call it the highlight reel. And once you see it, you'll wonder why nobody told you about it sooner. And the third thing I'm going to cover today is a quick practical tip for making sure that your resume actually gets seen, because you can have the best resume in the whole world and still get knocked out before a human ever reads it. So let's get into it. First up, let's talk about what's actually happening on the other end of that application. When a hiring manager or a recruiter opens your resume, they're not sitting down with a nice cup of tea and immersing themselves in your career journey. They are scanning fast. They've got so many to get through. Research puts it at around 6 to 10 seconds for that first pass. 6 to 10 seconds is all you get before they decide whether to keep reading or move on to the next one in the pile. So, your resume has one job in that critical first few moments. You've got to make your value obvious immediately. Now, here's the thing, most EA resumes fail that test, and it's not because the experience isn't there, it's because it is buried. What recruiters are scanning for specifically is four things. So, let's go through them. First up, they want to see, who are you professionally? Are you clearly positioned? Are you an executive assistant? Are you on a chief of staff pathway? Are you a senior EA? Who are you? It should be obvious in that first line. Thing number two, they're looking for, what level are you operating at? Are you supporting a team manager or a CEO? Are you supporting a single executive or a whole board? The level of leadership that you support tells a recruiter an enormous amount about your capability. So we want to make it visible right off the bat. Third thing we want to make sure we communicate in those first few seconds is the scope of your role. How complex is the environment that you're operating in? Because there's a difference between coordinating meetings and managing complex travel across multiple time zones while supporting a board. Both might be true, but one of them lands very differently on paper. The final thing we want to make sure we're communicating in those first few seconds is your impact. I mentioned this before. We don't want to have just a task list of what you were responsible for. We want to be explaining what changed because you were there. Did you improve a system? Did you lead an initiative? Did you create something that didn't exist before? That's what we want to see. Most EA resumes, they answer the first question about what you're responsible for, and they miss those other 3 points entirely. Your experience is in there. It's just buried in all that task language, and it might be 3 pages deep where nobody's going to find it. So let's fix that. I mentioned at the beginning of this video a technique I want to share with you, and it's called the highlight reel. And this is something that I use with my own clients, and it works consistently well. It lives right at the top of your resume after the personal summary before your key skills and work experience. I'm going to share my screen now so that you can see this live. 5 bullet points, that is it. But these 5 bullet points are doing a whole lot of heavy lifting, and I'm going to walk you through why. This first bullet point here is your context line. So this is really important because it summarizes your years of experience, who you've been supporting, and what level you operate at. Something along the lines of senior executive assistant with 15 years plus experience supporting CEOs, mayors, and senior leaders. Immediately, anybody reading this knows who you are. the level that you're operating at. Done. We've ticked off those first few things. Now, I love this part. Bullets 2, 3, and 4, like mini case studies. And this is where most people undersell themselves because instead of picking their 3 best, most relevant achievements and putting them front and center, what they're doing is burying them in the work experience section where a recruiter might never get to them. See, it's over the page here in professional experience. No, we want to pull it out of that, your top things, your top achievement, and we want to put it right on that front page so we can capture attention in that first 10 seconds of reading. So when you're writing this, think about this. What are 3 things that you've done in your career that you are really proud of? The ones that when you tell someone about them, they go, oh, wow, you did that. Those are the ones that go here. And they need to be really specific. We're not going to be using language like managed complex stakeholder relationships. We need to get real. So something like coordinated a national conference for 2,000 staff across 5 states, managing all logistics, stakeholder communications, and executive briefings from conception to delivery. See how specific that is? Can you feel the difference? One is a task, correct, boring, doesn't tell us who you are. The other is proof. It tells the story. If you can quantify it as well, adding any kind of numbers, scale, dollar figures, timeframes, some kind of concrete outcome, do that as well. That takes it to the next level. Numbers stop the eye when someone is scanning. Okay, now bullet number 5. This is your space to write in any of your extras. So volunteer work, if you're a member of any professional organizations, if you're undertaking any professional development, if you've got industry memberships such as EA How To, have you won any awards? Anything that rounds you out as a candidate and sets you apart. This is where the interesting stuff goes. Those kind of things that make someone think there's more to this person. All right, so that is the highlight reel. 5 bullets, front and center. And if you're applying for a role that you really want, one that you're quite serious about, make sure you spend the time updating this section specifically for that role. It takes 10 minutes and it makes a really significant difference. Now, for part 3, I want to come back to something that I mentioned at the start because this is where the real work is. Task language versus impact language. Most EAs have been trained by job descriptions, by performance reviews, by years of being rewarded for being efficient and low maintenance. We've learned to describe work in task language. I manage the diary. I coordinate meetings. I support the executive team. All accurate, all forgettable. Because here's what those phrases don't tell anyone. They're not telling the story of what changes because you do it. So let me show you what that shift looks like. For example, instead of saying, I manage the CEO's diary, try adding to that and expanding. Say something more along the lines of, I protect my exec's time so that the things that actually need their attention gets it and everything else doesn't. See the difference? So it's the same work, but it is a completely different signal because one description is describing a function, a task. The other describes a person who understands why the work matters. Completely different. So go through your resume and ask yourself for every single bullet point. So what? What changed because I did this? What would have happened if I hadn't? That answer is the one that belongs on your resume. All right, part 4. Quick one, but important. ATS. ATS stands for the Applicant Tracking System, and it's basically a database that stores applications and lets recruiters search by keyword. When you apply for a role online, your resume goes into that system. And if your resume doesn't contain the right word, it might never make it in front of a human at all. Now, you don't need to stuff your resume with keywords. You don't need to hack anything. Here's all you need to do. You need to read the job description, look for the words that they use repeatedly. So if there's something specific like board governance or executive reporting or stakeholder engagement, whatever it is, use their exact words on your resume. If the job description says board governance and your resume says meeting preparation, you might be describing the same work, but the ATS doesn't know that. You need to use their language. Quick practical tip for this one. Everyone's using AI, of course. So let's make it work for you. Copy and paste the job description straight into Chat GPT or Claude, whatever platform you're using, and ask it to identify the top 5 keywords. Then you can easily cross reference your resume and make sure that those 5 words appear naturally on the front page. That's it. 2 minutes, 5 minutes, real easy, but make sure you do it for every application so you don't get tripped up. And one note on formatting while we're here, if you're using a fancy Canva template with lots of columns, lots of images, be careful. Some ATS systems read documents left to right in a single stream, and columns can get jumbled and your contact details could get lost. So, a simple test is to copy all the text from your resume and paste it into a plain text document. If it reads in the right order, you're fine. If it's a mess, you've got a formatting problem to fix. All right, let's wrap this up. To bring it all together, your resume has about 10 seconds to make your value obvious. The way that you do that is with the right structure and the right language. Use that highlight reel to get your best achievements front and center, and don't bury them in the work experience section where they might never get read. Shift from task language to impact language. Not what you did, but what changed because you did it. Tell the story. And check your keywords for every single application. Takes a couple of minutes, and it is one of the highest return things that you can do. And if you want me to look at your resume specifically, what it's currently saying, where the gaps are, and what to shift, that is exactly what a session with me is for. Just a clear look at exactly where you are and what you need to do next. You can book that in at the link below or just visit viewspd.com.au. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and good luck. I know that your experience is stronger than your resume is currently showing. Let's change that.